Can thawing permafrost cause another pandemic? In an interview with IndianExpress.com, Dr. Christopher R. Byrne, president of the International Permafrost Association, explained the consequences of permafrost thawing. The latest IPCC report has warned that increasing global warming will result in reductions in Arctic permafrost, and the thawing of the ground is expected to release greenhouse gases like methane and carbon dioxide. Defined as ground, soil, rock, and any included ice or organic material that remains at or below 0 degrees Celsius for at least 2 consecutive years, permafrost is spread across an area of over 23 million square kilometers, covering about 15% of the land area of the globe. In an interview with IndianExpress.com, Dr. Christopher R. Byrne, president of the International Permafrost Association, explained the consequences of permafrost thawing. What will be the immediate effects as permafrost melts due to increasing global temperatures? The first impact that were very rapid will affect countries where roads or buildings were constructed on permafrost. The Russian railways are an example. In the northwest of Canada, now we have a short section of the road where it has been necessary to chill the ground to make foundation of the road colder than it is in order to preserve the permafrost. And for the 500 meters of roads, the expense was 4 million. Now this is large amount of money for a short length of road. But the biggest international problem is with the potential for organic material, which is now entombed and frozen in the ground. If the ground begins to thaw, this material will become available for microbiota to break down. If some environments, the biota will release carbon dioxide, and in other release methane, which is about 25 to 30 times more potent as a greenhouse gas than carbon dioxide. So there is considerable concern. The total quantity of carbon that is now buried in the permafrost is estimated at about 1500 billion tons, and the top 3 meters of the ground has about 1000 billion tons. The world currently emits into the atmosphere approximately 10 billion tons of carbon a year. So if the permafrost thaws and releases even only 1% of the frozen carbon in 1 year, it can nullify anything that we do about industrial emission. So do we need more studies to understand these emissions that can happen? Yes, we do. The majority of the efforts so far have been on estimating how much carbon is in the permafrost. That's where the scientific effort has been. Currently, there is some evidence. The first evidence was published in 2019 that some permafrost regions have changed from being a carbon storehouse to being places that are net emitters of carbon. Anything which we needed to study and which a great concern to many of us is the increase in the number of forest fires. This year, Russia witnessed a forest fire whose total area was the size of Portugal. So it's a big area that burned up. Usually after a fire, you expect the forest to grow back in the next 50 years to 60 years. This restores the carbon stock in the ecosystem. But in the tundra, the peat is where the organic material this takes a very long time to accumulate. So if we burn peat and release it into the atmosphere, then it will take centuries to restore that carbon stock at ground level. So that's another problem that we don't have our fingers on. Can you explain if thawing permafrost can release new bacteria or viruses? Can it cause another pandemic? The answer is that permafrost have many secrets. We recently found mammoths in the permafrost in Russia, and some of these mammoth carcasses, when they begin to degrade again, may reveal bacteria that were frozen thousands of years ago. So there will be surprises, but whether they will be lethal surprise is not just possible to say. Let's also remember that when the permafrost was formed thousands of years ago, there weren't many humans who lived in that region, which was necessarily very cold. And as of now, the number of diseases that you can find in India is much greater than the number of diseases you find in Greenland. The environment now is so much more suitable than during the Ice Age for not just human life, but also the evolution or development of viruses and bacteria. Thank you.